Guys, hey, this is Michael Neff with Pre-Approved Me. I'm here with Dana Lang from Top Shelf Processing, and I'm really excited today to introduce our new partnership and our integrated partner, Top Shelf. Basically, what we're going to do today is we're going to talk to Dana about her process, her team, about her philosophy with processing. And if you're in the broker side, how important it is to control your time and allow for somebody else to help you scale. And the integration that we built with them is going to help it make it really easy for you to connect their team with your loan files so they can go through and process them with, no delays, no painful uploads, no form fields, data entry, none of that stuff. So Dana, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, super excited about this. Tell everyone a little bit about you and about your company and when you started it.
Yeah, of course. So, we've been around the name since 2019, but Top Shelf really hasn't grown into an entity until the summer of last year. That's when we really started bringing on additional team members and really putting additional resources into marketing and branding and making a name for ourselves. And I think what's really allowed us to grow at the rate that we have and get the recognition that we have is the fact that all of the processors that we have, there's 10 outside of me that process, and all of us have been in the industry, and most of us have actually sat in the seats of our client, the loan officer. So we've been at the closing table, we've worked with realtors, we understand how hard it is to get a client and hang on to them in this market nowadays. So we tend to touch the files with a little more urgency and understanding. And it also helps that most of us have spent quite a few years working at some of the largest wholesale lenders in the nation. So we have a different understanding of the internal systems and the benefits that come with using them than most.
Yeah, that's really important. Both bringing, experience from the wholesale channel and from the loan officer side, because it is a difficult job if you don't understand the urgency that loan officers go through and how much time and energy they take to spend building relationships with realtor partners. And if something's dropped, right, they'll send you one deal. Any real estate agent will send you a deal. If it doesn't close on time, you'll never get a deal again. Right. And so that, that experience really does pay dividends when it comes to a loan officer trusting you guys with their business. And you mentioned, experience working with wholesale lenders. Which wholesale lenders do you guys primarily work with, or is there no limit?
So sky's the limit. We're willing to work with anyone a couple times. We understand that there's the one-off, you have some niche products that you just got to get it done for the client, right? But some of the best ones, most of us are very fluent in UWM. So that would be our number one wholesale lender that we work with. Mm-hmm. Then it's places like Home Point, Kind, The Lender for some of the non-QM programs that are out there, Caliber. If you go to our website, it lists all of them, but I think there's over 25 total that we've partnered with and are able to run loans through the system. So There's someone out there that we're able to get your product through.
Got it. And so then you have some of your team members who are more comfortable working in particular lender files. So if a loan is submitted to you, it's a non-QM deal, not, inside the box. Is there a processor that you would assign a file like that, and based just on their performance with that lender in the past, that this is the best person to process the deal? Or how do you guys organize that?
Yeah, like with anything in this industry, when you connect with a realtor or a client or your account executive, you form that relationship based off of personalities and trust. And so when I get a loan brought into Top Shelf and it gets sent to us, I sit and I analyze, what lender is it at? Who is the loan officer that submitted it? What is going on in this particular file, and who on my team has the capacity to handle that and has the experience and wherewithal to get that to closing as clean and quick as possible. So it's the assigning of the loans is not an automated system by any means. It is extremely interpersonal, and there's a lot of consideration to ensure that we're doing the best matchup, not only person to person, but lender and product to processor.
So if I, as a loan officer, started sending you deals and I started, maintaining or building a working relationship with somebody on your team.
Yeah.
Am I able to request that my loans go to that person?
Absolutely. 100%. 100%. Yeah. And there's always the one-off chance. I always try to get 2 or 3 processors familiar with the shop in the event that one particular person has capacity issues or maybe they have some time off. We want to make
What?
sure, yeah, what is
No.
that? We do allow our processors to take off time, but we also have an out of office setup. So there will always be someone that's going to backfill them and make sure that your loans are always moving forward. That is our prime focus. So, we'll try to get you whoever you prefer. And then there's always a backup or two behind that.
So, I mean, that's kind of a beautiful thing, right? Because if you as a loan officer were going, hey, I'm to the point now where I'm doing enough deals where closing and doing all the mundane paperwork and chasing title and, collecting these stips from customers and doing all this busy work, once you actually get the deal, if you were a loan officer who's ready to take it to the next level, or you're wanting to take it to the next level and you just can't find time to do it, the options are basically you can hire somebody personally on your team and you can pay them a W-2 salary that's fixed cost, right? Probably some bonuses on every file. You have to train them up. If they're not from the wholesale side, you have to teach them everything about wholesale.
Yeah.
If they're not processors in the past, you have to teach them everything about doing loans. And your fingers are crossed the entire time that it's the right kind of hire for you. And so there's a big risk associated with bringing somebody onto your team full time as an employee, as opposed to sending a deal to a contract processor who essentially uses success-based pricing, right? Where you are basically saying, hey, when we're your partners here, when you have success, we have success. If you close a deal, you can pay us. If you don't close a deal, no one's happy, no one's making money. And that's part of the partnership.
Yep.
And that's not like bringing somebody on board, and especially with refinances drying up. It's very difficult to maintain a P&L and profit margins if you're paying 80 grand to a processor on the light end to that's a fixed cost, and your production just went down 40%. So,
Right.
I mean,
we don't get paid unless you get paid. And, some may say loan officers have a bigger stake in the game. Absolutely. But a paycheck's a paycheck to us. And so we are a true partner at that point. We have just as much emotional and business interest in that loan closing as you do, regardless how the scale tips of what we're making. We care. And we don't continue to earn your business unless we close that loan and do a good job, where that sense of urgency and that empathy for the loan may not be there if they're in-house and they just get paid no matter what happens with the file. So we tend to care a little bit more about the files in that regard. But let's talk about the overhead and the time. I mean, being that I was a loan officer, I was part of, different city boards. I was part of a real estate board to get connections. I was in business groups, and I couldn't imagine trying to do all the networking that it takes to not only build business partnerships, so realtors, builders, any of those type of people, but then also get clients, stay in front of the clients so they don't get snagged up by other people in the industry. Oh, plus you have to order a written verification of employment and remember to open title. And it's not advantageous for those who are growing their business to stay in front of the client and be business focused, bringing in new business, and stay on top of the millions of little things that go into each and every unique loan. And the thing is I got into processing because I was lucky enough to travel for a very long time for a major wholesale lender. And I would go into these broker shops and they'd be like, I'm capped. I just don't have the time, Dana. I go, what if I could take 3 or 4 hours off your plate a day, if not more, and you fill that with networking and getting more business, and I'll handle all of this. I'll streamline this process. I'll get everything done in a timely fashion and keep you in the loop. You just go get more business.
Yep.
And that, after seeing the pain point, that's where I was like, there's a huge need for this in the industry. And it needs to be someone who understands what goes into a loan transaction. It is more than just paper pushing as a processor. And what I've come to realize is in-house processing, they don't have that connection and that team member to bounce processing issues off of, processing ideas. They're 1 or 2 people in a shop full of loan officers, and they have no additional resources because loan officers aren't processors. You're focused on doing loans. They're not getting the processing support that they need. So with a third-party processing team like mine, they're constantly getting processing training. They're constantly getting additional resources and systems that allow them to do processing faster, where they don't get those benefits from working directly for the shop itself. So it's a
Yeah.
little more advantageous.
Yeah, and a loan officer there's not really any necessarily tangible benefits to having one in-house, because like you said, they can't necessarily train the processor in a way that makes sense. I think most of the great loan officers I know, they're very good at understanding loan guidelines. They're very creative thinkers, but they're mostly salespeople. And at the end of the day, if no one's selling loans or attracting business, creating those referral relationships, you're not going to build a business.
Right.
And so it makes a lot of sense to outsource it. Now, what's really cool in my mind, especially when it comes to the wholesale channel, is essentially the broker in the broker space. What they do is they find the partnerships that make the most sense for them, and they send loans to them. UWM or Rocket or Home Point or whoever it is, they're going to send deals to the partner that makes the most sense. Well, outsourcing your processing is the same thing, right? It's a sort of the best of both worlds, because like you said, they don't have to fire you. They just have to send not another deal to you if you guys aren't performing.
Correct.
And so you guys are well incentivized to make sure you're performing on every single transaction. Otherwise, they can go somewhere else, right? They can find another partner, or they can onboard somebody internally, and the option is theirs. And that's it's a great thing. On the wholesale side, brokers understand that model, and so I think that's good.
I think it's cool. Just to add to that is, think of one broker shop. They may be in a habit of doing a certain type of loan, right? And the market takes a shift like we're experiencing right now. And they're like, okay, where do I go now? What kind of niche product do I get into? Or how do I break into purchases? Or how do I do certain types of loans that might be a little different than the traditional A paper that we see out there, the easy ones, the slam dunks, so that they get a lead, but they're like, I don't know how to do this loan. I've never done a bank statement loan or, condo tells or some of the unique products out there. Well, now you have an advocate to call that we can talk through it with you, because odds are with one of our other broker partners, we've done it. So I'll tell you what lender to get signed up with. I'm going to tell you what to expect throughout the process and how to get through it with your client. And now you've opened yourself up to a completely additional unintentional market that you didn't even know you could do because you were only in your narrow lane at your broker shop. But your processor that's in-house would never know how to expand their products because they're not exposed to it like we are. So It's a unique viewpoint on the industry, is of odds are we've ran across it and we're able to help you.
That's great. Yeah, I love that. And so you built a pretty cool system on the back end to kind of manage this process. I've seen it. I don't think we're going to look at it today, but I'll tell you, as a software guy, somebody who looks at systems and processes, it's a very impressive platform where they are focused on making sure that your clients are getting followed up with appropriately and assigning the deals in the right way, making sure that nothing is dropped, that timelines are met. And so I can tell you it's a really slick system, very well thought out and well built. I'm sure that when you inquire with Dana and her team at Top Shelf, she'll show you what it looks like. But rest assured, I mean, I've been in the mortgage industry for 15 or 16 years, and it's about the most thorough timeline transactional management follow-up system I've seen.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, really, when it comes to the system, I just went, I don't want them to think. I want them to just go do, because when you're working 15, 20, 25 loans, and you have to remember every nuance that goes into every particular product and that particular loan officer, and there's so much that goes into it to remember. Why not remove the ability for human error there? Just make a checklist, right? So at every point in the loan, it's, did you look at this? Did you check for this? Are we looking for this? So we're looking for large deposits. We're looking for inquiries. We're doing all of these things up front to ensure the loan gets through as quick and smooth as possible. We understand the importance of getting the CD out and hitting contingency dates, and all of that's broken into a checklist and then noted daily every time the processor touches the file. We can even build the shop their own viewpoint into it. So you're going to see everything that's going on every step of the way. whether it's midnight or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you're able to see what's going on with your files. So it's really cool to see the automation in the system and how it's allowed them, and them being the processors on my team, to have this insane level of client service, but not have to think so hard about everything that goes into a loan. And I think when we've partnered together with the Pre-Approve Me app, it just took it to a whole nother level of ease, not only for the broker and the loan officer inside of your system, but now the processor can come in there, and that level of transparency is instant. It's instantaneous for the loan officer, which is really cool.
Love that. So you talk to me then real quickly about, where does Top Shelf start in the equation? Like where do you pick up where the loan officer left off?
Yeah, that's great. And so specific to our integration together, it's real simple. The loan officer is going to utilize Pre-Approve Me for its amazing features and collect all the borrower information. And now they're ready to register it with the lender. But instead of downloading the 3.4 and figuring all these things out, filling out submission sheets and all this jazz, once they're integrated with us, they just hit send to contract processing, and it's going to pre-populate the submission form that most loan officers love to hate. And so it's going to take the annoyance of that out. You're just going to scrub through it, make sure everything's accurate that you want. You're going to hit it, and it's going to populate in our pipeline. You'll receive a confirmation email of who your processor is, and they're going right into Pre-Approve Me, into the loan, and they're pulling the 3.4 and they're registering it with the lender that you've chosen. And at that point, we're going in, we're registering the loan, we're cleaning up anything that didn't come over on the 3.4, we're running AUS, we're disclosing, and then we're taking it all the way through funding. So that means ordering title, payoffs, homeowners insurance updates, appraisals, we're getting the initial docs, the approval comes out, we're calling the client, we're walking through everything with them. Everything. It's simply, even down to letter of explanations. We know how easy those are to fumble, and you don't want to give the client too much control to write a novel. So we'll call them, email them, hey, what's the reason for this inquiry? And then we're going to type the letter of explanation and just send it for electronic signature. So how do we remove that human error in clearing these conditions? And then we'll work with title to make sure it gets balanced, and we'll make sure we schedule closing, and you're kept in the loop every step of the way. From the moment your loan officer or the loan officers press send to contract processing, the only thing I want them to do is go in and lock the loan and then show up for closing. That's how it's supposed to be.
Beautiful. I love it. Yeah. And so then would you say primarily most of your loan officers are sending you deals once a contract is in, or are they also sending you like TBDs to help like get the initial stuff built out and set up?
So it's both. It's really, I like it. I like this industry, the side of the industry, because it's really fluid to what you're comfortable with as a loan officer, but the option is absolutely there. So we do register TBDs and run AUS on TBD. So you have a full approval as long as you follow the initial qualifications. But absolutely, in our pipeline, we have a pre-qual list, and we'll let the file hang out there until the client is able to nail down a property and a contract's in place, and then right on in, and we'll move forward with updating the file.
Now, I remember, back when I was producing full time, my processor at the time was sort of at capacity and maybe overwhelmed at capacity between 40 and 50 files a month. And that's a lot to process. But she was processing for a couple loan officers. And, I just remember always seeing the whiteboard she had, and there was just like lists of loans, files, names, and like where things were in the process. And I just was, when we talked the other day, I asked you guys, like, sort of what's the capacity you guys want to run at, where everybody's comfortable and, where you want to get each team member. And so you want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah. So, obviously I would love to bring on everyone and have you bring down the wall and the floodgates open, but that's not realistic to my team, or, it's not fair to my team members. So we do have capacity to bring on more brokers, but I would say it's going to be a trickle effect, right? I got to meet with the broker. They got to express interest in partnering with us. We'll get on the phone, owner to owner, and we'll talk through the logistics of everything. What states are we licensed in? What kind of business you doing? How many units are you looking to submit? We'll hash out all those details. And so right now, I'm thinking we can bring on maybe 5 to 7 additional broker shops. We could probably bring in somewhere between 40 to 50 additional files at a tiered manner. I don't want it to all come in at once.
Yeah.
So this is a limited thing as we continue to grow Top Shelf's team. Luckily enough, where we're located, I do have a copious amount of trained professionals in the mortgage industry here. So I am lucky to be selective with who I bring on the team. So I plan on scaling to meet the needs of the business and our brokers as they continue to grow, which is very great position to be in. It's a great opportunity, but at the same time, this is a limited offer in terms of I can only take on so many at a time to respect our turn times to the brokers and to make sure I'm not overwhelming the processors.
So talk about turn times then for a second. If I, hit submit to processing inside of PAM, or even if you're not a PAM member, we're going to distribute this newsletter to, and this announcement to, 15,000 loan officers, and only a small fraction of those are actually members of ours. So what does that look like from submission to your team to somebody picking up the file, getting assigned, and then beginning the process?
Yeah, so when you submit a file to us, the general rule of thumb is 24 hours, right? So my team's going to acknowledge it. So let's say you submit a file and Dana gets assigned as your processor. You're going to get a confirmation email back. Thank you so much for submitting the Smith file. Dana Lang's going to be your processor. Well within 24 hours, I would say usually within 2 to 3 hours, the processor is, hey, thanks so much. I'm so excited to work with you. And I'll be able to get to this file at X amount of time within 24 hours. So whether it's after another 2 files, or maybe it's late in the evening and that's the first file the next day, but they're letting you know when it's going to be worked on. And when we get conditions, they're touching every file they have every day. So that means your file is getting touched every single day, at least one time, if not more. And then with CTCs, you jump on that same day. So we're getting scheduled, we're reaching out, we're letting them know, and then we're getting in line with title if we haven't already pre-schedule the time for us to close. So that's why when you say numbers 40 to 50, I'm like, oh, because we got to keep it scaled much smaller, because the level of client service that we offer is unlike most processors. I won't just pile loans, because that's a hindering effect on the brokers that we have now. That's not fair to the team members that I have, and it's not fair to our broker partners and their clients to bog them down just to bring on more people. So it's a nice dance that we do of building Top Shelf's team, bringing on more loan officers and bringing in more loans, so the turn times stay consistent. And you guys can have consistency with the services that you're receiving from us.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And, when you describe sort of the process and the coverage that you guys offer, in my mind, it seems like you guys aren't just processing only. You guys are, if you're doing initial setup work on the loan file and helping to qualify somebody, you guys are sort of taking the role of both a loan officer assistant and a processor. And, that's a extremely valuable thing for producers who want to get out there and start talking to real estate agents today. So I cannot more highly encourage Top Shelf and the team over there just for that. If that was it, right, that would be a massive value for them. But not only that, but like you said, where do you guys hail from? What city are you guys from?
So the company itself originally was founded in Fort Collins, Colorado. But the main hub of business, we're here in just outside of Detroit, Michigan. So we're in Birmingham, Michigan.
Yeah, there's no other companies in Detroit, right, that are big wholesale lenders and thousands of qualified, recruitable employees. Yeah,
like I said,
it's like the hub, right?
Lucky. I'm very lucky where I'm located, because it went from the motor city to the mortgage city. And I mean, there's just everywhere you go, as far as the eye can see, there's mortgage professionals. So it allows us to be selective on who we bring in the team.
Love it. That's awesome. Now, is there anything else you'd like to add, at the end of this, conversation that we didn't touch on?
So I do want to go over the price for this service. I believe in full transparency and what we offer. And so when you work with Top Shelf Processing, to take a loan from initial registration, meaning we're pulling that 3.4 out of the Pre-Approve Me app, or maybe you're not partnered with them yet, and we'll change that, or we're doing it a little more manually with the submission form and you're sending us the 3.4. Either way, we're taking it from scratch and registering the loan. That's going to be a cost of $995. So with that, you're getting that upfront service of registering it, cleaning up the file, getting docs out, staying on it with the client to get them signed, make sure we're TRID compliant. I mean, everything you can imagine all the way through funding, except for locking the loan, comes at that cost.
Okay, excellent. And if you're not in this state, let's say I'm in Oregon, right?
Mhm.
And I'm using you guys. So
Yeah.
how do you bill me?
Yeah, so if we don't have licensing in the state that you're doing the loan in, as long as you don't disclose the third-party processing fee on the LE to the borrower, so you're not pushing forward the cost into the transaction itself, we're able to assist you in processing that loan. It's just something that's handled after the loan is completely funded, everything's done. Then my team gets with your team and we handle any outstanding invoices, because you, Michael, are hiring me to help you get this loan through the pipeline, opposed to putting it as a cost that the borrower can't shop for. So that's how we're able to work with you. So paid
So we
outside of
just
closing.
you invoice me, we cut you a check. Now, if
Yeah.
you are starting licensing in a lot of states and
Yes.
growing that, if we are licensed in the state that you're licensed in, how does that show up?
Well, just simply goes in section B of the LE as a third-party processing fee. So you just,
Yep.
we'll put it in the fee screen, and there's always those one-off small loan amounts or this or that. You want to, minimize the fees that are showing. We can always do those one-off scenarios, but if we're licensed, it can go on the LE, and it's a cost that's rolled into the entire transaction.
So then it would be a pass through, and as transactions are moving more toward purchase, let's get those seller contributions. Let's pass the cost, on to the consumer if we can. If you want to, again, that's totally it's your business, but it is a way to make it more viable for financially for you. Yeah, it makes sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Cool. Anything else we missed before I just kind of jump in and show the integration real quick?
No, I think that covers everything. Yeah.
Awesome. So the way this works, guys, is super easy. I mean, literally, it's one click. So I'm inside of a loan file here. I've already turned my integration on. Okay, it is a bit of a process to get this integration turned on, because you do have to get approved with Dana and her team, because they are being selective with who they're working with. They do have a limited capacity. So this is not I can't have, 150 brokers signing up with Top Shelf today. That's not how this is going to work. So get in there quickly, request the integration. So Dana and you can start having a conversation, and maybe you can get into not our beta, but our early, access. And so once the integration is on, all you have to do here is click send it to contract processing. And that's going to send the data in your loan file over there. Now, what's important to make sure is that the information inside your loan application is up to date. Okay, so you can read the application here, the data here. If you synced it over from LendingPad or from Calyx or from Encompass or whatever you're using, just make sure you synced the file over before you submitted it. If it's an automated integration like Calyx is or like LendingPad, then it should be fine. But just make sure everything's dialed and you hit send to processing. Now, to get signed up, all you're going to do is go to your profile like this over here, click integrations, request access under contract processing. Okay, that's going to get you on the early list. And then Dana and her team are going to connect with you, because you're going to need to go into your contacts list here, and you're going to need to add their team as a contract processor right here. So you click new user, use the drop down to select. Mine's called helper, but you'd want to, it would say processing on your end. Put the name, email, phone number that they give you, click create user, and that's going to connect Top Shelf to your system, and so that they can access the pipeline and start getting to work when you hit submit to processing. So it's pretty simple, guys, but it is limited. So get in there quickly. And if you have any questions, of course, Dana's happy to answer those for you. I've got some knowledge too. You can reach out to me directly if you'd like information on the PAM side of it. Otherwise, I think that's about it.
Yeah, I think that's it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm very excited.
Yeah, Dana, thank you so much for your time and for your partnership. And we're hoping that this helps those loan officers get out there, meet some real estate agents today, which is super important, guys. Rates moving up. Referral partners need to be first on our list to get out there and attract. And so this will hopefully give you capacity to do that.
Awesome.
Okay. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dana.
Thanks.
Bye.